Hello, and today we're going to be talking about a book review. We're going to be doing the book The Color of Us. As I've mentioned before, the book that I have chosen is The Color of Us by Karen Kratz. So, this book is about diversity and it talks about all the different skin tones. And the purpose of this assignment was to review a children's book that explores some of the themes of diversity in culture, and as well as being able to examine the message, the illustrations, and the relevance for inclusive practice when it comes to this type of book. So, next, I'm going to be discussing the philosophy, the strengths, the weaknesses, and how we can use this book in early learning settings. So, the philosophy of this book, in my opinion, this book sends out a positive message when it comes to the skin color. They don't just come in white, tan, and black, they actually come in many different shades, but I will get to some of the criticism I have later on. I feel like in this book, every child can relate because they can see themselves in the book. They can see all the different skin colors as I've put on the screen. Um, and I just feel like they can also take that chance when they're in their community to look and see all of the different skin colors that they have in their own community. So, does this book dive into culture? This book, it kind of does, but not really. So, when we're looking at this book, we're seeing the different types of people. There's some people that you can tell are from a different culture, but it doesn't really develop into the backstory. It really just talks more about the skin color. But I would encourage some of the teachers when they're reading this book to go more in depth and to really maybe learn more of the background so that when they do get to that page, they can explain to the children specifically about this person, maybe why they're wearing a hijab, maybe why they're dressed like that, because it could be a part of their culture. So this one doesn't really talk about anything like immigration, culture, practice, or indigenous views. It's really more just focused on the skin colors. Now, the positive things that I have about this book, what I do love about this book is the visuals. The visuals, they really do show all of the different shades. Some of them go into like this very like orange deep color, this very like dark brown and very pale. They show all the different types of skin colors that people could have. And I feel like when I was growing up, I never really found any books that were like that, specifically books that, show the whole family or like mixed families like me. So I like that this book can actually show kids, even though it was born in 1999, I didn't know about this book yet. I feel like this book is a good one to show kids because they can really see themselves in every single page. And the illustrations make it really easy for the children to recognize the different shades and the different people in this book. Some of the negativity that I do have about this book is that my only critique really is that when they're comparing the darker skin colors, they do compare them to food. When it comes to white people, they'll say either like, fair, pale, tan. But when it comes to black people, usually authors will refer to them as like chocolate, coffee, espresso kind of color. And that has its ties when it comes to slavery and sorry, colonialism. And it's kind of a lazy way of doing writing, in my opinion. I understand why they do it, especially for children, because it's easier for them to, connect it together. But I do hope that we would move away from it. And I do have to remember this book was made in 1999, so there could be some difference. And I would love if we had shown the whole family and not just the one person to see maybe the dad's black, maybe the mom's white, and then maybe the kids like a different color. Now, in this book, I wouldn't necessarily say there was issues that were raised, but the book really just tackles more the skin colors rather than anything else. More so the stereotype of people assuming that the brown comes in one shade or that black comes in one shade, when really they come in multiple different shades. I personally come a family of mixed children. Both my uncles have mixed children, and we are all different shades. We are not the same. Some of them are darker, some of them are lighter. None of us are the same color. But this book has a great way of showing children that people around them can come from different shades, and not everybody is going to look like you. The illustrations and language used. The illustrations in this book are fantastic. I really have nothing bad to say about them. They really do showcase a lot of the different skin tones that people might have. I also love the illustrations, how they're big, so it's easy for the children to see, and I feel like they are respectful and they're engaging for the children. The language, in my opinion, it was age appropriate, and the paragraphs were short enough that it was easy for the kids to read and follow along. And I would say that the language has good intentions, but and it's aimed for inclusions, but for today's standards, it could be better. Although, again, you have to remember this was book was made in 1999. When it comes to stereotype, like I've mentioned, the only stereotype in this book that I could really see is, like I've mentioned before, the comparing the darker skins to food and as a metaphor. This is something that even black people have spoken up about, especially in makeup. I used to watch makeup videos and people eyeshadow palettes would be like cacao, espresso, chocolate when it comes to their dark shades. And that is embedded into a bigger issue. This book is for children's ages 4 to 8, which to me seems appropriate for this age range. It has enough illustrations to keep them engaged, and also this book is great for them because they're at that stage where they have a lot of questions. To reflect, I do know that children do perceive things differently than some adults in some cases, so for them, they might not have an issue with having the skin color compared to food, but that could also motivate me to teach them maybe a different words and jargons to say. Um, this book would definitely be in my book selection. It is a great book to introduce children's to for different skin tones. For programming, you could do color mixing. You could bring family photos to see all the different skin colors are in your family, and even do a read aloud and having all the children, say one of the paragraphs. To conclude, I think some of the book strengths are to teaching about the different skin colors and the different shades of skin tones that we have. My weaknesses are that it does compare the darker skin colors to food. I can see the inclusiveness in this book, but the comparison of the darker skin to food colors could have been different. Culture responsiveness, it focuses more on skin color than it does on different cultures. So maybe we could have added that. And again, just to restate, this assignment was about reviewing a children's book that is about diversity and culture and looking at the message, illustrations, and relevance to inclusive practice. And I think this book did do a good job. It just could have a few tweaks. And these are my references. And thank you very much.